Hey guys, Dan here from VHIX411. Today in this video I will show you how to replace a battery on a BMW remote or BMW key. It's pretty easy if you got option 1, and it's not so easy if you got option number 2. As you can see, all these keys look alike and they are all from BMW 2006 and newer, so up to 2012. They are all from 1 series, 3 series, some of 5 series, and X series. Now, like I said again, as you can see, same looking keys, but on the back end, let me flip them over. On the back end, they are a little different. As you can see, this one right here, it's all one plastic bottom piece. Same goes here. Now this one has a cutting opening. So this key has an opening, these keys don't. Again, no opening, opening, opening. So as you can see, even though the key looks similar, they are different on replacing the battery. And of course, when you look at it from close up, this one is a 315 megahertz key. So is the one with an opening, also a 315 megahertz key. So like I said, essentially they are the same key, except when it comes to replacing a battery, these are with a solid back or no opening back. A little complicated to do. Now, you're watching this video is because if your car starts but your remote control won't open or close or pop the trunk, so that is the first symptom of battery going bad. So if your car starts but the remote doesn't work, it is the battery that you got to look to. Now, also another way of diagnosing if it's a bad battery is if the car locks and unlocks from the lock and unlock button inside the car, but it doesn't do that from the remote. Also an indicator that your battery is bad. Now let me flip these back and test which one of these is a bad battery and show you. I'm using the Maxi TPMS tool. It has a radio frequency option. I can measure the radio frequency, and as soon as this thing powers on, I'll choose the RF radio frequency, and let's just move these. Alright, here you can see that. Push up button. As you can see, radio frequency, and of course how strong is the signal. Now, for instance, this one is bad, so battery's bad, and this one bad or bad. So I got 2 with bad batteries. One will need one soon because it's really weak signal compared to these guys right here. So these are the ones with the opening. We'll do these first. And so these are the ones that are bad. The battery's bad on them. So as you can see, this guy right here, nothing. This guy right here, nothing. So in this video I will show you how to replace the battery a simple way, and I will also do one the hard way, the one that you can't actually access as easy as these guys. So we'll do the easy first. Super simple. You will have to remove, if you have a keyblade, so you will have to remove the keyblade. Now on the back side there's a button. All you have to do is just push it and pull it out. So remove the keyblade. Once you remove that, super simple. You can get a small thin screwdriver, and over here there'll be like a little tab right here sticking out, and of course it's pretty hard to see, but there's gonna be some little room in here, so you can actually push it inside and then pop your tab, and as you can see, the battery popped out. Pretty simple. Now the battery is positive up, so positive side up, and also says it over here if you can see the plus over here. So don't install it this way because it will not work. Now, so installing it correctly to make sure it works, and installing it this way obviously won't work. It will not get in there. So this less rounded edge, you drop it in there first and then just kind of squeeze it in there. And the battery it takes is CR2032. So I'll replace this guy with my new battery. Just put it in there, less rounded edge. Set this, make sure you set this line with this, because this way it will not work. So get it in there, push it in there, make sure everything's flush, nice. Stick your keyblade in there, and that's it. I replaced the battery on one of the remotes. As you can see, really good signal, really strong signal. So now that you've seen we have a really strong signal, super easy. This is one of the easiest ones to replace. Now let's get to the hard one. This guy right here, same goes with this guy. On the back end, push this, pull out the blade, and of course there is a tab right here, but nothing in the middle here. There's nothing for you to pop this thing open. If you can see that, nothing. So you will have to do is carefully cut the edges. Really carefully so you don't scratch the key. So you'll just cut a little bit. Gotta be careful, and of course the best edge to get in is right here. So this is the edge I got in here. So once I got this edge a little cleaned up with my razor blade, let's double check that. Yep, I got this one in out a little bit. Now do it from the inside. Really thin screwdriver, and there's a little gap over here, very small gap. We're gonna put our thin screwdriver. You can use a knife, probably will be easier to pry it in here. You can just kind of stick your knife in there and then pry it. I'll use a screwdriver. So I got my screwdriver in there. Now if you're gonna do it from this angle or here, you're gonna scratch your key. This end or this edge is not as visible unless you remove the key. So now that I got it, so I can pry that one. I'll stick it in here more, and got this open. Now you gotta be very careful when you pry this edge right here. You gotta be very careful because you can see the board already. That way you're not prying against the board. So I'll just go in slowly, don't go in deep. I'll just go around carefully. So now, there you go. It popped out. So here it is. Got this thing popped out. As you can see, the factory, they glue it in here or melt it in here. So that's why this guy right here is not as easy to replace. I know I told people, hey, if your door lock's not unlocking with a remote but it works from the inside, just replace the battery. And this is what they told me. Not so easy. It looks like they are correct. So we remove this. This is the battery it has inside. Now this guy right here is the VL2020 battery. These you will not be able to buy in the store. You can only order it online. There's quite a few places that do sell these. They're Li-ion battery, and these will require soldering, and we're gonna be unsoldering this guy right here, this guy right here. I'll be using my, let me zoom in. Alright, great. So we'll be unsoldering this guy right here. I'll be getting a suction tube so I can have the solder removed, and of course a solder iron. So once I will melt this, once it's melted in there, suck it out with the tube. Same goes here. Melt it in there, suck this guy out. I'll do it again over here. Melt it in here, sucked it out. Now I'll just get it with my iron and kind of move it to the side, back and forth. Same goes here to the side. Now let's freely move it in that hole. Look at that, it just popped out. Now replacing it, I'm getting one on eBay. Make sure it's a good new one. And replacing it, same thing. From the back end, just gonna put it in place right here. I'll put it against the table. Make sure the battery, you can see on this end, it has to stick out, like right here. You can see it sticks out right here or right here. That way we can solder it really good. So it's in all the way, good connection. That way it's, when we're gonna be putting it back together, we're not having any issues. And I need my solder for this. I will put the solder over here and melt it. Melt it in there all around. Good melt, good connection. Now do the same thing for this side. You can put I can put my solder iron here, warm it up a little bit and melt it. Just move inward my solder. Done. Now you can just check your solder, make sure you have good contacts, as we do here. You can actually go outside if your car's near and push on these buttons. Better to put it in the case, that way you're not shorting out anything with your fingers. So I'll just put it in. Put this guy back in there. The battery will always go into this hole, so make sure this battery in this hole. Before I glue it back with super glue, let me zoom this out. Alright, so before I glue it back, I will test it out. You can go to your car and test it out on the car. Make sure it's working. In this case, I'll pretend this is my car, and as you can see, it's working. We'll lock, unlock, the trunk will open. Good. So the battery you bought is a good battery, let's just say. And we'll just remove this. Super glue. And apply the super glue on this edge. That way we're not gluing anything over here. So very thin layer. because if you overdo it with the super glue, it'll get on the outside and on the inside, and that'll make your key a little ugly looking because you'll have glue sticking out of your key. So I applied even amount of glue all over. Make sure this is exactly straight in there, and then carefully move it into place. Make sure everything is in place. Kind of hold it in there together. Put my key in there, and you're done. So the key's working. This is how you replace the battery that needs to be soldered in and out. You can just leave the key, put something heavier on there. Otherwise, this is how you do the one with an opening and the one without an opening. Otherwise, if this video helped you, like it, share it, subscribe if you haven't, and see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.